What do?
Because I keeps it real like that.
Just keep it going. Some of our foreign creditors like Japan and China will stop loaning us money to pay for an ever-growing government.
Republican Congressman Jody Arrington's hawkish position at odds with what economists expect from the Trump administration. The CBO shows the deficit higher with Trump back in the White House.
And I am also your soul brother. Number one.
Just keep it going.
Everybody who is black and interested in black people, let us sit down and find out how we can get together in one direction against one enemy and accomplish this job overnight.
When soul singer and black activist Sam Cooke wrote the lyrics to his song, A Change Is Gonna Come, it was very direct and to the point. With some changes to it, the song was still digestible. In the year 2019, black folks continue to go through the change rather than direct the change. A community activist named Taalib has made an appeal similar to what Sam Cooke was asking for. A change. It's said that the meek shall inherit the earth. We ask when. When will the landlords give the meek a free lease? Mr. Ebenrod is humbly asking for the state of Mississippi. This is Dusty Basement Studios, and we approve of this message.
Right. Bro, you a genius. I ain't gonna lie. This is like, bro, you go down in history with this one. I swear to God, bro.
Well, I'm their child. You know, we all their children.
Yeah, but bro, you know, you your own, you different, bro. I mean, to think of that. I mean, bro, this is genius. Like, I don't just say stuff just to be saying it. Like, I swear to God, bro, you are really on something to come up with this. I don't know how you came up with this.
But Charles Blow talks about the fact that if you really want black power, consider going into 6 states. Now, I'm going to combine this with what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us as it relates to get states that you control. And so when you look at the idea of returning back to Louisiana, as far north as Maryland, Alabama, okay, the Carolinas, there's a lot of black folk. Mississippi is the largest state of black folk. More black folk in Mississippi than any other state in the 50s. And so if we were to do that and go into our own, become our own senators, we would up the amount of black senators immediately, Congress people immediately. We would up, and by the way, when you run in the state, when you run in certain things, you don't have to ask nobody for reparations. They give you reparations. Something we can do. This is doable.
The Mississippi Campaign represents everything that you claim that you want. The beginning of an all-black independent nation. The ability to control your own resources, your politics, the law. Be able to do your own thing for a change. Create an economy. Create and produce goods that Africa or anybody on the planet would want. You think you don't want to do nothing. 3 hours talking about the Mississippi Campaign.
Let's see, Taalib says, can you send a shout out to my platform, the Realities Temple on Earth Internet Ministry? Our theme this year is After Purge Comes the Heal. Shout out to your platform, Taalib. All the best to you guys with continuing to stretch in perspective, to stretch in what is possible, and to continue to bring healing into the space of yourself and others. Yes.
Just keep it going. My black people, it's all about the unity. There's nothing they can do with us, so ain't nobody. Reality simple. My black people, it's all about the unity. There's nothing they can do with us, so ain't nobody moving me. Like the king, we make it plain and simple. Bringing knowledge and fire. It's all glowing. Just keep it going.
Himself, and you don't realize it. You don't realize it, that God has been in prison. The devil was able to imprison God. So right inside your own self, your God self has been in prison, and you have a false sense of self running rampant inside the temple. This is why, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
We have to bring reality's temple here on earth. Reality's temple here on earth.
Yes, sir.
We have to realize the enemy is running rampant inside this temple.
And that is Brother Taalib from the Reality Temples on Earth. Brother?
Yeah, we're here. Oh, hold on. Yeah, we're here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you fine.
Okay. Well, thanks for allowing me on this live platform this evening. To speak truth to power once again in this universe. First of all, I would like to start saying that I will send shout outs. First of all, thank you, Brother Taalib. And I send shout outs to all those who are in the live chat section, listening and watching this live stream, and also to those of you on Facebook that may be watching this live stream, and those of you that will be watching it once it's posted after the live is over with. And yes, the topic is, do we come from families, or do we come from the streets? That's the topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go right straight into it. Yesterday I thought about something earlier yesterday, and
I was actually thinking about my own personal experiences with family. Well, I would say in my case, so-called family anyway, but biological relatives, which I usually would say. And I thought about my experiences. Now, I still talk to some here and there, or whatever, you know. I still talk to some, even on a regular basis. But of course, like so many of us who came from dysfunctional, as we call dysfunctional families, in so many cases, I'm one of those people. And I would like to say that, I it took me a long time to learn that it's a big difference between being a biological blood relative and a family member, because you can even go look in the dictionary, I'm sure, and find that the real definition of family means basically anybody that you're close to or considered to being close to is family. And that doesn't have to just necessarily be attached with a biological relative. And people, for some reason, have a hard time understanding this, you know. But needless here to say, the reason I want to go on this topic because a lot of people, I've never seen no one on social media, nor outside of social media, ever speak on the such topic that I'm about to speak on right now, that I just mentioned. Because, like I said, I thought about, first of all, yesterday, how my own parents met. And I'm going to take you down through a little memory lane story, which is true, you know, which led to my eventual existence here on this planet Earth. Now, I was born in Detroit, Michigan. And as you know, you got two famous known housing projects in Detroit, Michigan that was, of course, built in the 1930s. And one of them was the Brewster Projects, and another one, which is right on the other side of town, was the Jeffrey Projects. Now, the Brewster Projects, you had different Motown singers like Smokey Robinson and Diana Ross that came up out the Brewster Projects, and I believe you also had some famous people that came up out of the Jeffries too. But definitely, I do know that some of the Motown's greatest music legends, like a couple that I named, actually were raised up and brought up in the Brewster Projects prior to them becoming famous music artists and stuff like that for Motown. But usually when people hear about the Brewster Projects, they hear about the Brewster Center because Joe Louis and another great boxer named Sugar Ray Robinson trained there, which was a recreation center for the local neighborhood, which was the Brewster Projects. Okay. But they don't never go into the dark side of what the Brewster Projects was like, even before I was born in the late 60s. And they also, you never too much hear about the dark side of the Jeffrey Projects either. But for those of you that are from Detroit who may be listening or will possibly be listening, in on this live stream definitely know what I'm talking about. But it was a time, and this started like this as far as I know, that go way back to the 50s and 60s, okay? Even before I was born, where it was a gang rivalry, territory rivalry going on in Detroit. The longest street in Detroit called Woodward, okay? And it stretches all the way from downtown Detroit further into the suburban areas of Detroit. But this particular area where the Brewsters and the Jeffries was like Midtown. But the Brewsters was on the east side of Woodward, and the Jeffries was on the other side, which was the west side of Woodward. And so these different gangs from these two different housing projects would, come in contact with each other from both sides. And these were street warring gangs, and my father, who's still around today in his 70s, happened to be a part of one of them gangs, the gangs out of the Brewster projects, okay? And the fact is that the Brewster projects and the Jeffrey projects did not like each other as a result of that. They just simply couldn't get along. And, even that was kind of going on even after I was born, where you still had a sense of rivalry going on between those two housing projects. So, I come to find out that my father and my uncle on my mother's side, my uncle, may he rest in peace, ended up somehow becoming friends, and plus they was hustlers. Both of them was hustling because that part of Woodward, where you was in the Midtown area close to downtown, that was one of the biggest hustling and bustling spots during that time of the 60s in Detroit, and stuff like that. And but anyway, however, they somehow ended up meeting each other on the streets. I don't know if it was through the gang rivalry contact. I don't know how it went down, but they ended up becoming good friends with each other. Him and my mother grew up in the Jeffrey projects. And from that point, that's how my mother and father got introduced to each other. Well, with that said, this prompted me to want to speak on this topic, because a lot of families end up, a lot of people with kinfolk connection ties end up coming from people that actually met each other from the streets. And so when people say that we come from families, no. What is the origin, at least here in America? I'm not speaking about nowhere else, but at least here in America, what is the origin of how the sense of families start coming about? Usually it's because somebody that met somebody in the streets, whether it was on the street corner, whether it was at a club, a shopping mall, whether it was at a church, or at a festival somewhere, or somewhere. They met each other. But they met each other on the streets. They didn't like wake up and the person that they met on the street was standing right there. You know, they met him on the streets. And this is how many families end up being divided. Because, like in my case, my grandmother, on my maternal side, which is my mother's side, did not really care for my father. She didn't like him. So, anyhow, after I was born, and throughout my life, as time went on, I ended up becoming involved in this some kind of way. And see, that's one thing I learned, that people should not involve a child in domestic or relative disputes like that, you know, especially if it has something to do with the parents and both the grandparents some kind of way. You see what I'm saying? That child should not be involved in that, because see, that leaves emotional scars, physical scars, and even mental scars on that child forever, even up into adulthood, you know? And a lot of people don't realize this. And so as time went on, I started seeing the way that my deceased mom's deceased mother, may she rest in peace also, started acting toward me in a negative manner. And that was a result because of her feelings, her ill feelings or whatever toward my father. And like I said, in my bloodline, I am not the only one that has experienced this. There are many people from many bloodlines that have experienced this, male and female. So I know I'm not alone in this. And they're still experiencing it now, like I am. And that's part of the point of what I want to go into, because when people say, once again, that you come from a family, you were born to a family, no. The root of it all started from the streets. Like I basically explained, you know, coming in on this live, giving you the rundown of what I'm really trying to say. And you know, and see, a lot of our youth today, when they say my family is in the streets, I ain't got no family. My family is in the streets. In a way, they may be right. And in ways, they may not be right. But whether they even realize it or not, the roots of what you call a family tree starts from the streets. Just like, how did my grandparents meet? Whether it was on my mother's side or my father's side. Now, black folks back during my grandparents' era, when they were younger, like that, mostly they probably met in places like churches or cabaret dance halls and stuff, because that's what people did back in the 1930s and 40s. You know, when they would congregate, and you'll find people, you know, becoming girl boyfriends and would start courting each other from there. You know, because back then those times were different, but still they met on the streets. Okay, they met on the streets. Just like my mother and father didn't know each other before they met each other. My grandparents didn't know each other before they met each other. It ended up having my mother and father, including other children that they had. Okay, so it still originated from the streets. So when you feel like you no longer have ties with a biological bloodline because of whatever unnecessary or unfortunate circumstances that have may taken place, I thought about it yesterday and I said, well, you know, after all, like the younger folks under me say, I'm from the streets anyway. So what do it matter if I don't have a sense of family connection to my relatives? What do it matter? Because it all started in the streets anyway. And more likely, in a lot of cases, that's where it's going to probably end at, you know? Because I've known situations where I've heard people in the past, down through the line, say that, well, both of my parents' side don't get along. Both of their sides hate each other. But they caught up in the middle of it. You see what I'm saying? That type of situation. I've heard many couples actually involving both sides of their relatives in their domestic disputes to the point where it ended up being violent shootouts and stuff like that. And ain't no telling if these people got children between each other. You see what I'm saying? So this is the kind of for years. I had a baby. So this doesn't just transcend, be known throughout society of the world, but this even idea of the world, but this even transmit through even prominent known, you know, families, as you want to call them, you know, and you know, like my cousin was telling me some years ago, that before she passed away in 2022, years before that, she was telling me that in this little small town down in Tennessee where she lived, everybody was related to each other because you had cousins, you know, who was in bed with each other, laid up in bed with each other, having children and stuff like that. And so that could cause a very dysfunctional situation. And see, that don't even, and see, here's the thing with that. You already know this person because you know him as a relative, or you know her as a relative. Or you may have not knew her or him as a relative. You see, but at the same time, most of the time, children come about in this world is because relatives met on the streets, you know, and we all somehow, some kind of way came from the streets, whether we want to accept it or not, or whether we want to admit it or not. We all came from the streets into existence, you know. You know, you know, people want to make it seem like, you know, that the people that you're related to by blood is the only people you could depend on to trust. Because I was misled for a long time to believe that. That's not true. As a matter of fact, I've had two contrasting experiences that clearly woke me up to that reality that that's not true. Okay? And to this very day, I know it's relatives that if I needed something, don't even look their way before you even ask. Don't even attempt to go up to their doorsteps. But I know people or have known people that I never met a day in my life. It ended up like they was giving me the last back shirt off their back, you know? Even through my earlier years of traveling as a younger man, people let me stay in their houses, in their basement. I wasn't nothing but a complete stranger. People would let me in their homes, didn't know me, at nighttime just to use their telephone. You know what I'm saying? People would let me stay. People would give me a whole room back to myself in their house. Didn't know me. From Adam's apple to apple. Didn't know me from sun to moon. But would give me a room all to myself in their own house. Give me money, food, all that. A lot of relatives, I wouldn't even anticipate a thought like that in my mind of actually, asking them anything like that as far as help go, you know? And you might get your feelings hurt, even if you do approach them like that in some cases, you know? So that showed me from that experience that, you know what I'm saying, it's not necessarily true, nor does the meaning of family defines only detachment to blood relatives. You see? So, I really, like I said, I really wanted to get that go into that because, I've come to find out in my experiences in life that, your actual tear downs or life destructive or altering situations do start right within what those of you call the family that happen to be amongst your blood relatives. I could go into quite a few things that happened to me as a child in blood relatives. Side all somehow always, had a thing for not accepting me as being a part of that side of the unquote so-called family. You see what I'm saying? But they real colors even showed more after my biological mother passed away. Especially when it came, I'm gonna just put it this way, you know how it is when people die and people want to start acting crazy. Now I'll let y'all figure the rest of that out. Because what's understood sometimes simply don't need to be explained. But when it came down to that, you see what I'm saying? That really showed me how much so-called family really cared about me. You know, like I said, I already had known to a certain point that they didn't, but that really, opened up more of a can of worms to remind me of that. So I remember years ago, my father, who's still around, as I said before, in his 70s, and he was telling me years ago, even when I was a younger adult, in my early 20s, he would tell me that family is something I don't need to worry about. I don't even need to be thinking about family. And at that time, when he basically told me that, I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, it stayed in the back of my mind. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And today, I could see what he was talking about. My mother told me a similar thing, even after I had grown. She would kind of still talk to me as if I was that same little boy she was raising. She would say, when mommy gone, you'll see what I'm talking about. You know? And I seen what she was talking about. Too much into detail because I guess they don't want a child to have so many things on their mind to the point where they'll be ready to ask a lot of questions. You see? So it allowed me to go on in life to figure it out for myself, you know. But I figured it out, you know. And I tell you, I kind of feel free today from that. Now that I figured out that situation. So when I look back, even up to this point, and I see how it's overall affected my life, you know, even to the point of how it affects or how I deal with other people because of my own unfortunate experiences with blood relatives, you know, I say, okay, you know what? First of all, I had to learn how to survive starting at 8 years old on the streets, growing up in between two big cities like Detroit and New York, okay? So I had to learn how to survive even before I got into my teens. When I had to scrape and struggle just to get something to keep food in my belly because of the lifestyle of my parents that was affecting the household situation. And I realized that, you know, although those that I started out dealing with in the streets, as associates and all that kind of stuff, I knew they wasn't my real friends or whatever, nor were they family, nothing close to that. And see, this is where these gang members get deceived at. When they feel like those that are involved in the same street gang as they are their family. But at the same time, you can find people on the streets who somehow will become your true family, will become your true friend. You know? Something, you know what I'm saying? Something that, you know, What do they call it? But I understand they got that way. Who just had associates in the streets. They felt a sense of family, hood on them streets because they didn't get it from the home. And this is just not, relegated or restricted to our plight as, dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. This is even restricted to this is even applied to applied to other ethnic groups, may I say, whether it's Caucasians, whether it's Asians, Hispanics, and the list go on, but because we're so affected by this, and I'm talking about those of us who are descendants that come from slaves born in this nation, that's what I'm basically and specifically talking about, and whom I'm referring this topic as well to. Because a lot of us come from these type of background circumstances, where we have siblings that die off, like myself, that we never got along with because of circumstances, especially that started out with us not having control of, you see. And so, this is why you got a lot of domestic violence. You will be surprised how much violent behavior take place amongst what some of you would call families, and even though I say relatives, because that's merely what a lot of times in that case it's just relatives. Because like I just got done doing was defining the difference between a relative and a family member, you see. But at the same time, I must say that, hey, the reality of the situation is that, we're dealing with a situation right now, we're actually dealing with a situation, that you know what I'm saying? We're dealing with a situation that we need to, be very aware of, when it comes to dealing with each other and even our own individual selves, when it comes to the factors of reality check and all that, because this is what we're dealing with. Yeah, and this has a lot to do too that be going on amongst us as a group of people in this country. And I could say that many times until I get blue in the face, because a lot of you is going to, leave your ears and eyes closed to this. But there are some of you, few amongst many, that fears that this message will fall on, that would take this for what it is, and maybe even in your own personal lives, try to rectify certain situations, or just move on with your lives. Go somewhere else, even if you got to change geographical locations. You see? And go and find your own families, create your own families. You got millions of people that do that every day around this country and world. You know? So, I mean, it was just like my grandfather, who I never knew, well as I didn't know my grandfather on my mother's side. You know, actually divorced my grandmother on my father's side because of domestic abuse situations. He went over to another state on the East Coast and ended up getting married to someone else, and then ended up getting killed in a domestic dispute in that relationship. You see? But people go off and start families of their own every day. You know, I may have distant relatives through that connection that I know nothing about because of that. And see, all this derives once again from, you know, couples meeting each other on the streets. You know, opposite sex couples meeting each other on the streets. That's where all this started from. And a lot of these couples that meet each other on the street, whether they say it's on first sight or whatever, don't even have that real true love in their heart for each other. They just want to hop in their bed and do whatever they do. You see what I'm saying? You know, let's keep it real. And it's been going on, of course, for generations and generations ever since, you know, I guess mankind never stepped foot on earth, you know? But here's the thing, though. We must realize, whether we want to accept the truth of it or not, you know, I don't care how many videos we look at on YouTube about family this, family that. People can tell you a lot of stuff. You got people paid like therapists, psychiatrists, who try to define the meaning of what family is. They'll just throw anything out there. They don't care. Long as they getting paid to say what they got to say. That's all that matters to them. But the truth of the matter is that since you want to look at relatives all the time as family without asking questions or without further investigating and inquiring about certain stuff and situations, I'm going to say this. Your family started in the streets. It didn't start at home or in the bed. It started in the streets. Then it led into that direction. But it started on the streets. I met plenty or different type of women throughout my life. Whether it was in the clubs, whether it was, you know what I'm saying, on the streets, shopping malls, wherever it might have been, you know what I'm saying? Now, if I would have decided to take one of them home with me some kind of way or whatever, that'd have been from the streets. It's like I didn't know her, she didn't know me. And then all of a sudden now, you get other people involved talking about, oh, okay, you just started your family. Yeah, you may have started your family. If that's the case, but it started from the streets. You see, it started from the streets. And this is where a lot of us got to get out of that mindset about relatives being family once again, as I point out. Because I've known or heard actually of relatives. It's like, let me throw a couple examples out there. Man. You know, it was I've actually heard of people actually paying off other people to murder their fathers, their siblings, or their wives, who they had children by, over insurance money, people that wasn't even related to the family whatsoever in any kind of way, especially through blood connection. And you would just get some random outsider that you found somewhere on the street and had them kill them over some insurance money. And we hear about this all the time, right? So that person that you're about to have killed by an outsider ain't really no family member because they don't got that real true love for you. You see what I'm saying? Like this one, I remember hearing this story because I'm an avid boxing fan. I follow the sport of boxing. I followed it a long time since I've been a young teenager. I remember watching a documentary about this former heavyweight boxer who was actually a champion. Matter of fact, his name was Trevor Burbick. And Mike Tyson ended up knocking him out at the age of 20 to become the first youngest ever to win the World Heavyweight Championship in the ring. Where he had to go through this guy, Trevor Burbick, which he did to accomplish that. And this guy, Trevor Burbick, had been around as a seasoned pro and a Olympian, who was from Jamaica, based out of Canada, as well as here in America, until he got deported back to Jamaica for some reason, which I forgot what it was for, but while he was down there, and off in the sunset down in his homeland in Jamaica, I guess retired at this point as a fighter and stuff. He had some issues over some property with one of his blood cousins, one of his actual blood cousin relatives. He ended up into a domestic dispute about some property. And so his blood relative had planned out his murder. And he had a friend of his that helped him to carry out this murder. Where this boxer, Trevor Burbick, ended up getting fatally stabbed with the help of this friend that was with him, who helped carry out this murder of this ex-boxer I'm talking about. And that showed me, that experience there then opened up my eyes even more to how real devious people that you feel like you're so close to, like your relatives, could be the first ones to harm you in a devastating way that you would expect some common person on the streets to do in a way that you would expect them to do, on the streets. And I hear people always talking this stuff about, well, you can't be too quick to trust people on the streets. Well, you could say that about relatives too. See? But when I say that, That's when people want to get quiet because people really don't want to hear the truth, about that. So people want to get quiet and people want to start trying to take the conversation to somewhere else or letting the conversation go all together because they don't want to hear the truth. Especially if they're not right in the heart. When it comes to something like that being brought up, is which I'm speaking about in this topic. And there's several relatives I've tried to have that conversation with. And obviously it didn't resonate. They tried to go to another subject or, oh man, I got to get off the phone. I got something to do. I'll get with you later. No, it's because they don't want to hear the truth. Bottom line. When people you're conversing with want to hear the truth about something and when they don't. So with that said, I really got to the point that I actually started just saying they would just have to figure it out on their own, as far as what I'm saying on that note. But just had met on the streets. They treat their child like somebody they met off the streets. I found myself in similar situations that I don't even care to even want to dwell in verbally about. Even though I still love my parents, dead or alive, but like somebody said, it is what it is. And we have to come to the reality sense of the situation that, man, we come from the streets. That's the bottom line today. Now, I know when I decided to hook up with Brother Angel Snup 7 to have this live, he decided he would let me go solo. But I am right now, because I don't want to get tongue-tied, so I am giving him the open invitation if he wishes to expand on this. And I'm going to, for a moment or few, let him have the mic, especially because on his platform. So, brother Taalib, would you like to shed anything on that you may know about?
All right. Well, it turned out to be a pretty good topic. I want to thank you for coming and bringing that topic to us.
Yes, sir.
Tonight. I want to say before we go any further, usually we simulcast on Facebook, but I want to let everybody know that Facebook flagged my Facebook again, saying that I'm associated with dangerous individuals. The bull crap again. Same thing. These social media platforms do not want me to talk. And I keep saying over and over again, and I'm going to keep saying it and asking the question, why do these people bother somebody that only get 10 views and 10 subscribers? Why they keep bothering me? Now it's Facebook. Flagging me for being associated with dangerous individuals and organizations. But never say who the individual is, and don't say who the organization, these dangerous people that I'm supposed to be associated with. Is the Nation of Islam is Louis Farrakhan the dangerous individual? Is the Nation of Islam the dangerous organization? But it lets you know. And every time, this always happens when my subscribers start rising. Always. Every time I get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, here come the flagging of the videos. And they don't flag new videos. Facebook is not flagging new videos. They're going all the way back to 2017, 2013, stuff like that. I don't know, it might not tell you anything, but it definitely tells me something. And the only thing they do is sometimes I feel like, well, I don't need to speak no more. I just shut up or whatever. But when they do things like this, because I want to go out on my terms. I'm not going out on their terms. The only thing they do is give me the energy to keep rolling, to keep fighting. You're not going to run me off Facebook. You're not going to run me off YouTube. I just keep making channels and keep them up because people going to find me. If people didn't want to listen to Angel Snub Number 7, I'd give it up. I would just give it up. But apparently they want to hear my voice, regardless to these suckers. So I just want to say, I don't know how long this is going to last, or they just going to tear my Facebook down or whatever, but we're not simulcasting on Facebook. It probably would be a month or so before they let me live stream. Like I said, it's because the views start going up. I always tell you that the views on Facebook is higher than the views on YouTube. As soon as I said that, Facebook start flagging me. Hold up a second. But anyway, I guess I give my 2 cents in on this here, on this topic. I took a few notes and just want to make these points here. Something that is very common in our community is we like to say brother and sister. When you think about brother and sister, you think about family. That's very hateful. The brother and things on my channel. But it's soon because some family members are jealous of other family members because some family members are jealous of other family members because they have more money than you, or a family member because they have money. I believe in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Even that no more. I'm not even that no more. I'm not family no more. Family don't claim your children or whatever. Some child that we are embarrassed about, don't want nothing to do with. I don't claim them no more. And that's your blood. You believe somebody outside of you that you friends with in the Nation of Islam, or you some Pan-African, or that they are your new family. And those people will stab you in the back. They don't give a damn about you. Some of us, we learned the hard way. That's why we should have hundreds and hundreds of videos with people talking about how they were stabbed in the back by the Moor Science Temple, by the Nation of Islam, these black or Pan-African garbage, whatever. They're not going to come out here and talk about it because they feel embarrassed. They feel embarrassed. That's why they won't talk about it. And they've given thousands of dollars. They've given a lot of work to family. When they can't use you no more, they kick your ass out the door. Because that's what it was all about to begin with. These people aren't your family. At least if they was your biological relatives, you might feel a little better. My uncle so-and-so did such and such. These people were strangers anyway. The only reason why you are brother and sister because you believe in Elijah Muhammad, you believe in Marcus Garvey, you believe in whatever. They're not your family. As soon as that connection break, it's over. Family don't break regardless, because we're family. I'm family. I don't care if you're transgender. I don't care if you're Christian or Muslim. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. We're family. But just like Taalib said, that's not our reality anymore. Family is a fallacy. It's very few people. I remember growing up, I used to see family. I don't see that no more. I remember when I was growing up, if you jump on one, you got to jump on all 10 or 12. Family. And they'll figure out whether you was right or wrong later. Don't jump on my brother. Don't jump on my sister. 12 people come out the house, because you jumped on a family member. Whether it was right or wrong, we'll figure that out later. You don't jump on family. You don't see that no more. Unless, like Brother Taalib would say, unless maybe you're a gang member involved in crime. They don't play that. But we don't do that no more. People will help Farrakhan. They will help these divine. They will help all this stuff before their own flesh and blood. And then when you reach out to these organizations, when you get in real trouble, they ain't nowhere to be around. Regardless to whether, well, brother, you were incarcerated because you disobeyed Allah. Anything bad happened to me, these people clap. Family, brother, sisters, they clap. They happy because you got cancer. They happy because you got cancer. They happy because you got hit by a car. They happy you was incarcerated. They happy at something bad happened to you. These are your brothers and sisters. They hate your guts because you don't believe in, not part of the garbage that they're part of. This so-called family. I found people, when I was driving trucks, I found a group of people that treated me more like family than my own biological family. And unfortunately, my incarceration destroyed that relationship, because they didn't even know I was incarcerated. I just fell off the map. It would be years. It would be years before I was able to contact them and tell them what happened. But they treated me better and had more respect for me than my biological relative. So what is the solution? The solution, like we say here all the time, you have to create a different environment. Because this current environment is destructive. This current environment that we live in does not feed the soul. This current environment is sickness. And clearly religion and spirituality and all these things we believe in, they don't work. Because the people teaching that, even their circle is sick. They are part of the problem instead of the solution. Family, it shouldn't make no difference. People are different. Also, skin color is still an issue in our community. You too black. You run your mouth and talk all this black is beautiful stuff. You really don't like black like that. That's a show. Because what they say, actions is louder than words. And who do you follow? Who's your leadership? It's always a lighter skinned person. It ain't nobody black. It ain't nobody melanated. You look at these people, where your melanin at? The main ones talking all this melanin stuff, light skinned folks. Where your melanin at? And when they get angry, the real them, who knows how many times they have called me, they slip. Ooh, you black son of a. Then they have to make up an excuse. Well, I don't mean black. They have to try to explain. No, you don't like black like that. Because you're trying to insult me. And you're using the word Angel Snub 7 as a black this and that as something derogatory. Something to humiliate, something to shame. You don't like black like that. Why don't you say angels is an angel? You're not going to do that. You're not going to, because you don't want to, you're trying to humiliate, degrade me. And that's the way that you're using black. But you saying that black is beautiful and the melanin, you're liars. They're liars. So what is the solution? A different way of thinking. We have a problem with trying new things. We loyal to old stuff. Except when it comes to women, y'all men. Well, I've been there. That's why you gotta have all these women, cause you get bored with that putty tat. You get bored. I need different putty tat. I need a different stuff. But when it comes to these religions and these ideologies, you loyal to the same old crap over and over for thousands of years. Hundreds of years. Go on Facebook, go on YouTube. Only thing they talking about, something that happened 30 years ago, something that happened 100 years ago, 5,000 years ago. The Nation of Islam, 666 trillion years ago. Always some old, outdated crap. Minds never open to new ideologies, new way of looking at life. The reason why a lot of animals, insects, and life on this planet, the reason why many of them are still here, because they change. Because the earth don't stay the same. The way the earth is now is not the way it was 666 trillion years ago. Or 50,000 years ago. Or 2 million years ago. You got to be able to change. Those animals unable to change, they go extinct. We don't. Fairy tale make no